Hello, hello, boys and girls. It is me, Lisa the Love Coach here. It's 5 o'clock hour. That means sip it up, buttercup. It's time for the quarantine. So I'm hoping that you're off to a great start of your week. Comment below. Tell me where you're coming in from. Where on earth are you beautiful people coming from? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? I'm in beautiful South Beach, Miami, Florida. I got the palm trees behind me. I got my makeshift lighting. When the nighttime comes, I sparkle it up. I got some tunes going. I got the dog right over there. I have a cold cocktail, although it's very light cocktail today. It's Monday. Got to keep it together. I have a session. Have some work to do. Got to keep it together. So I'm rolling with delicious strawberry mixed with one shot in this big thing, vodka. A lot of ice. Beautiful, beautiful cocktail. So I want to get a few people up in here. Get in here, get in here, get in here. Have a seat, have a seat. Enjoy, enjoy. Going to chat a bit about oversharing. Oversharing. This is a thing that comes up on dating. I get a lot of people being like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. You think I share too much? Share too much, okay? Sharing too much. When is sharing too much? And is there a right way to share? We're going to be exploring all of these things and much more in the time we have together here today on the Quarantini every 5 o'clock. I come with some cocktails, music, breeze, ocean breeze, my hair all over the place. Beautiful Miami Beach. Soon it's going to be too hot to be out on the terrace, on the balcony. It's going to be too damn hot up in this Miami. I hope that this lockdown scenario moves along so we can go back to a new life where the beach and restaurants open, all the fun things that we do can continue. So that being said, oversharing. So to me, when people are asking me, Lisa, what's your take on sharing? Like, how much do you share on a date? How much do you share? For me, I'm very strategic. I'm all about dating with power and purpose and encouraging people to do the same. And when you're dating with power and purpose, you're not just sharing for sharing. You're sharing for a specific goal. There's certain specific things that you want to know about this other person and that you want them to know about you. So I figured it would be helpful to demonstrate an example of the right way to share, I suppose, a good way to share, based on what it is that you want. It always goes back to the same thing. You always have to know what it is that you want in a relationship and in another person. So that then when you share stuff, you're almost doing it from a position of like weeding out, like making sure that this person is into what you're about. A lot of people date the other way around. They date from a position of lack, which makes them hope. I don't want to say this because I want them to like me. If I say this, they're not going to like me. Who cares? Honey, trust me. I want you to like the real me. I'm not into putting on some circus performance, some show, praying, please like me, please like me. Here's the deal. Here's the number one thing I'll share with you. And you can do a lot of the sharing on your dating apps. You don't have to wait for it to be at a date. There's certain things that you can do strategically. The birds, they come every day. They come for me every day. What's up? Paradise I live in. You can use the actual dating apps to share. For example, I'm in a relationship now, but if I was single and I was getting myself up on a dating app, I 100% would share a photo of me and Taz, my dog. Why? Most people would be like, that's terrible. If you put a picture, these matchmaking people, they don't know anything of anything. Stick to what you know. Ridiculous. They say, Lisa, you're crazy. You don't put a picture of you and your dog on a dating app. Statistics have shown, right away they go to their statistics. Come on, the universe doesn't give a shit about statistics. It cares about vibe. And my vibe is with my dog. And if this man does not like the dog or is allergic to the dog, I want to know this up front, honey. This is why I'm sharing things with you early on. Early on. Why not? Ridiculous. They say to me, Lisa, statistics show that if you put a picture of you and your dog up on an app, you lower your chances of meeting people by 50%. Well, obviously not everybody likes dogs. I want to weed out the 50% that don't. Because Tazzer ain't going nowhere, honey. I've had this dog for 9 years. Come on. I know this guy 10 minutes. You think you're going to take the place of my dog? No. Delicious this is, my God. So that's something to share. That's an example of sharing on a dating app. Sharing to weed out. Sharing to weed out. If you are on a dating app and you are heavily into the outdoors, and I'm talking heavy, like you're into camping, you need to show camping pictures. You need to show camping pictures so that a bougie bitch like me can pass you right by, because I'm not your girl. Just saying. Not into the glamping, the camping, I want nothing to do with it. But there are plenty of women who are into that. So share what it is you're into and be honest about it. So that's the tip for that. Now, when it comes to oversharing, what we're getting into here is you meet somebody and your like therapy session, full on, you're talking about your issues, your dramas, your traumas, the work you've done on yourself, the whole story. And it's a little heavy for a date. But there are important things that you do want to share. And there is a way to share in a way that gets information back. It's dance, give and take. I tell you something about me, you tell me something about you. But the key is the questions. So I wrote a blog a couple of months ago. You can find it on lovequestcoaching.com, lovequestcoaching.com, blog section. There's a blog there about the 20 great questions to ask on a date. And this is even, questions that you can ask when you're in a relationship just to like reconnect with your people. But they're really good questions and they're open-ended, which invites open conversation. This is just, easy breezy trying to get to know you better conversation. No pressure, no drama, no like heaviness. So let's say, and the key here is like you need to learn how to reverse engineer. Reverse engineer, meaning I know what I want, therefore I know what questions to ask to determine if that's it. And I know what to listen for. That's the other thing. People are not listening on dates. They're going on dates for the sake of the being out and about, but they're not really listening. And then they find themselves with people, and then months later they're like, I had no idea that they were like this. Well, what the hell did you do in the first 4 dates? Did you not ask the right questions and listen to what people were saying to you? So, some key questions, right? Key things to get the sharing going. Number one question I love. Tell me about yourself. What do you like to do for fun? Amazing question. Why is this an amazing question? It's an amazing question because it's going to get somebody to open up and share what they like to do for fun, which puts them in a positive mindset. They're thinking about fun. What do I like to do for fun? Oh my God, well, I live on the beach. I love to go to the beach. I like to lay out. I like to bring a nice meal to the beach, hang out all day at the beach. Now, if I'm on a date with a man who can't stand the beach, I don't like the sand, I like to go boating, I don't really like the beach, probably not my guy. See how that works? You share authentically and you get information and you give information and you determine from there if the person is a fit for you or not. Let's say I ask the question. So tell me about yourself. What do you like to do for fun? And the guy says, wow, that's a great question. You know, I hardly ever get to have fun because I work so damn much. Really? How much do you work? Well, I usually work around 50 to 70 hours a week. And I have 2 different businesses, and I travel 3 times a month. I'm really never around. It's a miracle I'm here with you. So this is fun. Guess what? Look, like The Price is, like, not The Price is Right. What's the other show? Family Feud. Big X for Lisa. Why? Because I want a guy who's available. I don't want to date the guy who's traveling 2 weeks out of 4 per month. Not my jam. Let's see what else. You know, but again, I know what I want. For some women, that might work out nicely. For me, not so much. So asking these open-ended questions helps to get people sharing and listening for what it is that they want. So did you ever overshare on a date? Like, I feel like oversharing is when, like, you're not even, you know, the appetizers haven't even hit the table and you're already talking about, like, traumas that happened with your father when you were 8. And the guy is like, dude, what? Or the woman is like, oh my God. You know, or, you know, a man, I was on a date once and this guy was oversharing. It was ridiculous. He was talking about, like, every one of his ex-wives. This was before I was a rookie. I didn't know what I was doing. I was out on a date, the dinner, the place seemed cool. I'm like, all right, whatever, I'll go. I wasn't really doing anything. I was completely dating from a place of boredom and hurt, so not a good place to date. But needless to say, I went on a date with this guy. And he was sharing, I'm telling you, he had 3 marriages, 1, 2, 3. And he was sharing each one chronological. Here's what happened with this marriage. Here's what made this chick a psycho. He even used those words. Well, psycho number 1, well, she was a real winner, this one. And I was like, oh, and you had 3 children with this woman? Like, at what point did you realize probably shouldn't be breeding with the psycho lady? Anyway. Told me his whole story. Then number 2, wife number 2, same thing. And then I went younger, the second marriage, and this is what happened, and da-da-da. And I mean, it was like a lot. It was a lot. And I knew I wasn't really into him. I was kind of just there for the filet mignon, I'm not gonna lie, but very good experience, needless to say. And it was back when, way back when, I wasn't dating with the clear purpose and intention that I learned how to date with later in life, hence why I'm with the man I'm with now. So let's think about when I started to date Mr. S. Oh, fresh in my mind. Oversharing with Mr. S. No oversharing. We had a nice pace. He revealed some stuff to me. I revealed some stuff to him. We got to know each other, like, really nicely, deeply. And it wasn't due to oversharing, it was sharing about the right things. There you go. So, for example, right before I met Mr. S, the year prior, I went through a world of shit. I'm telling you. Divorce, heartbreak, like, it was devastating, awful. And I went through some stuff. I had to come out the other side. I had some experiences with dating that threw me for a loop. I was getting my wings back, you know, stretching the wings again. And I would think that in the beginning, I may have overshared a little bit with Mr. S about my past dating experiences. So I would tell stories about, you know, me in my 20s, me in my 30s, thinking that I was getting to know him better and showing him more of me. But he wasn't into it. He wasn't into it. It was such a good key learning for me when I was first connecting with Mr. S 4 years ago. Guys don't want to know your dating stories. You don't need to share dating stories to elevate yourself. This was a total defense mechanism for me. It was like, oh my God, I have to keep him at a distance. So, like, let me show myself as, like, this, you know, party girl, dater girl who's like, oh, I did this. I was there once. I went with this guy and we did this and it was really funny and whatever. Like, no. So I quickly nipped that in the bud. And I made the focus of my sharing more about what I learned. So I had to pivot and change. It's not about a bitch fest and a complain fest about your exes and whatever. It's all about the adventure, the lessons, the journey, the wisdom. Then he peaked up. Then he was like, wow, tell me about that. Like, what did you, he was very interested, when I started to say things like, the main thing I learned about that situation was this. And I would never ever, after that, coming out of the other side of that, I approach it this way now. It was like an important thing for me to learn, right? So it's, here's what happened briefly. Here's what I learned from it. Here's what I do now. That's inspiring. Jennifer weighs in and she says, I have met guys that overshare first. What do you think that means? Well, a lot of times there are a lot of damaged people out there. They're broken, they're still nursing some wounds, and they're looking for a caretaker. They're looking for someone to like emotionally glom onto. Women do this too, men or women. I find the people who are oversharing, meaning talking about their past and their life story, but from a place of like victim, that's like a red flag. It's a massive red flag. Oversharing in the case of what they like to do, travels that they've had, friends that they have. Sometimes people, a lot of guys do this, well, women do it too. They make the mistake of being very braggy and name dropping, which is a massive turnoff. It's like awful to do that. It's so like pretentious and awful. There's a way to do it though that's classy and actually sexy. When I met Mr. S, at the time, I was blogging a lot about restaurants and like places that I go and whatever. So a restaurant had invited me to sample their menu, and I called the restaurant, the manager, and I was like, bro, listen, you're gonna come at me with all these dishes. Is it cool if I bring people to help me eat it? And I'm gonna do an article about you and take pictures. They all can take pictures. They'll be on social media too, so it'll be more, right? They were like, no problem, Lisa. Bring, however many people, drinks you're gonna pay for, but food is on us. Wonderful. So I called Mr. S and I invited him and his dad, who was visiting in town at the time, to join me to eat this meal. And the way I presented it was as if they would be helping me out. So I wasn't like, yeah, so I'm this big time social influencer in my town, and well, I have the opportunity to have a delicious meal, and I thought, why not invite you boys along? No. I said, hey, have you and your dad eaten yet? And Mr. S was like, no, we were just talking and figuring out what we were gonna do for dinner. And I said, okay, so I might need your help. I might need to enlist you boys to help me out. I'm being comped at a restaurant. I do this blog and I cover different restaurants, and so they're inviting me, and they often bring a lot of food, and it's gonna go to waste, so it'd be great if we all just kind of hung out and ate it all together. What do you think? Would your dad be up for that? And he was like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. You have a total hookup. Hold on. He talked to his dad. He's like, Dad, Lisa says she could get us food at whatever place. We're in. They came. It was awesome. Point is, I could have overshared what I did, this blog that I was kind of like this girl about town, but I didn't want to go there yet with him. I was still getting to know him. I was still feeling him out. He seemed like a very corporate, buttoned up kind of guy, so I can't come at him like, yeah, so I write this blog and I'm all over the place and this and that and whatever. Like, I had to dial it down a notch and show him what I'm about, as opposed to talking about what I'm about. So he was able to experience this wonderful meal with his dad. It was great. And then afterwards I did this blog and he was helping me take pictures. It was like really cool. So so it showed me that he could be supportive of what it is that I do, right? And that he was cool with it. And, the manager came to our table and he said hello to me and he was like, mwah, mwah, to kiss. I'm like, oh, this is my friends, da 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 da. Super polite and nice. And it elevated me. It showed me in an elevated place. So I didn't want to overshare too much about, oh, and I have this blog and I have the social media presence. It could have overwhelmed him. And it kind of did in the beginning. Bless his heart, Mr. S. Oh my God. What he had to deal with in the beginning. Whew. But he did. And because we were willing to grow and learn about each other as we went along, we adjusted, and I learned quickly like what flies with him and what doesn't. And I liked that about him. I really did. I felt it was like, wow, he's got standards. He's not just gonna roll over and call this the Lisa show and, jump to my every whim. And I liked that. I was like, wow, this is like a real, grown-up relationship. A person who actually has standards for himself. He knows what he wants. He's perfectly fine on his own, which was great. Also, I was like, wow, like that's impressive. And, I was like, well, that means that he like really wants to be with me. Because if he can easily choose to not be with me, he doesn't need to be with me, he's choosing to be with me. That made me feel like, wow, that's really cool. Like, that's nice. So the oversharing thing also happens when people have a lot of baggage. And by baggage, I hate that word, but that's the word people give it, baggage. So they have things like little kids and maybe a daughter who has a kid that lives with them. Like, it's a lot of stuff going on that I've heard people very early on, like, I may as well just say it because it's my life. And if they're not into that, then they're not into me. And I get that. I get it. But there's a way to deliver it, right? Conversely, again, you want to ask all the right questions. You want to ask the right questions, right? So if a man came to me on a dating app or even in person, out and about, and I'm meeting somebody, and they say to me, so tell me about yourself. What do you like, live on the beach? I do. I live on the beach. Oh, yeah. What do you have, a boyfriend? Do you have a husband? No, I'm single. I live with my dog. Just your dog? You never had kids or anything? No, I never had children. No. And you just sit there and you let people just learn what it is to let people be. They'll reveal themselves to you. This was a man in this instance who was looking for a woman who was hungry for family. Somebody who was very loner, who wanted to be swooped in to a family. And there are women out there who are that. I am not that woman. I am not. I'm a less is more approach when it comes to family. I am a very I have my mom and my dad and they live in different places and it's all good and like that, right? Some people like the whole thing. And so when you're sharing, it's important to be like, listen, this is what I'm about. This is what you get. When you get with me, this is what I got. I have children. I have this. I have a club that I belong to. I have my business. I mean, that was a big thing to share. I was like, no, I don't have children, but I have a business. So I work all the time. And it's not work to me. It's love it, passionate, love it. So, you can't come at me crooked if I'm on my phone at 2 p.m. on a Saturday, because work is coming. People are texting me, emailing me, whatever. I'm fast with it. I'm appropriate with it. I'm not all day with it, but I'm there for my business. Absolutely. So I have to be with a person who can handle that. So that is a share. That is an important share about my life. Oversharing, though, is a thing about complaining and very you feel like you are in a therapy session. You legit feel like there isn't this back and forth of getting to know somebody, but a very too deep, too soon, too much drama. It just feels heavy. The energy of the date will feel heavy. I often find a lot of women say that men over the age of 45 overshare. They have a lot of just stuff, and it's like this big, like, they drop it on the table, and it's like, oh my god. And I guess they're looking for like that support. It's very odd. It's very odd, and it is a mistake that a lot of men make. I find it very common with men that they're lonely, they're older, and they're just like sharing and oversharing and complaining. And like I said earlier, the guy about my first wife was this, and my second wife was this, and the first one said this, and the other day my first one, because we're still in touch, you know, because we have the first business together. I mean, you're sitting there and you're like, oh my god, my head is spinning. But you know, for me personally, like, I wouldn't even be on a date with somebody like that in the first place, because I know how to handle that in a call, in a one-on-one, fast, 20-minute get-to-know-each-other call. I'm a big advocate of the phone screener. You've heard me say this a bazillion times. When you're dating with power and purpose, there's a lot that you can accomplish right from your couch. You don't have to go out with everybody. In fact, you shouldn't. You should be very discerning with who you allow access to you. So not everybody gets a crack at the title. You have to be like discerning. Like, I want to know more about you on a phone call before I agree to leaving my house and my dog to like meet anybody in person. And there's power in that, right? There's power in that. Not everybody gets to meet you. Certainly not everybody gets in your home, or you in their home. Like, that's the other thing with the oversharing. Here's the thing for oversharing: stop oversharing your body too soon. There's a thought. There's something for you. No oversharing the body. No oversharing. Oversharing doesn't only mean what you're talking about. It means what you're allowing access to. Oversharing often lends itself to loose boundaries. You don't have enough boundaries, you're going to probably overshare. You're going to be like, oh yeah, you can come up for a cocktail. You know, the angling up, the angling into your apartment, the angling into your home, so annoying. And you got to learn how to handle that. You got to know how to handle that. It's awful. I don't know why men do this. It's the most like turn off thing ever. When it's like a first, second date and they're angling to get into your place, it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's just not classy. It's just like desperate and awful and immature. So, you know, that whole thing will happen when it's ready to happen. But a lot of people jump the gun, and a lot of women allow it because they date from a place of scarcity, and they overshare the access. They overshare the access. Can't do that. Cannot do that. No. Like, I often say to women, you know what? You're a badass when that man falls in love with you before you even had sex. Oh my God. That is a level of queen. Queen. When that man is like, oh my God, I fell in love with you a month ago. And you're like, oh my God, really? Like, yeah. Like, how did you know? For real, you knew? Oh yeah, I knew. I knew you had to catch up a little bit, that you weren't ready, but I knew. Wow, amazing. And people are like, you know, they could just be saying that. True, true. People could be saying anything. Oh, they could just say that. They say all the right things. Okay, maybe. Right? Yeah, possible. But who cares? When you catch them in a bag of bullshit, you leave. Done. That's unfortunate. You lied to me. I'm out. Toodles. It's the people who don't trust themselves to leave. They're the ones who are afraid. The people who are most afraid are the ones that don't trust themselves to see the red flag and take action. And then they turn it on the person. Oh, I'm afraid. Oh, you're afraid. Why are you afraid? If you trust yourself to keep yourself safe, there's no fear. There's no fear. You're like, yeah, he might, Lisa, that guy, oh my God, he might Mr. S. What if he cheated on you? Like, what if he cheated on you? I'm like, then he cheats on me. Like, then I leave. And then I, you know, tidy it up, heal it, grieve it, and I'm out on the scene again. Like, all good. I'll meet somebody else. Like really? Like, I think people get like super dramatic and they give people chances upon chances upon chances. What? Why? Like, I could see if there's a marriage with children involved and somebody, you know, they lose their path and they lose their sight, their vision, you know, not literally, but you know what I mean, the collective vision of the marriage, and they go astray. Okay, fine, now it's, you know, let's get to the bottom of this. Let's figure out what is it in you that made that happen. Like, what was that judgment and whatever. And you might want to give it a shot to fix it. Or not. Sometimes betrayal is betrayal and that's it. But when you're in a relationship a couple of months, my God, what is wrong with these people? I see them, we were together 6 months and he was talking to some other girl, and you know, I confronted him about it, but you know, he said it was nothing. Dude, 6 months? Come on, bro. That's like, I'm out. First sign of shady. I gotta go, dude. Like, you're busy. You're too busy. You got girls coming at you on the Instagram, on this, on that. Like, I'm busy and I'm looking for commitment. So I can't be like, you know, cluttering my entrepreneurial brain with that kind of bullshit. You understand? Like, I just don't have the bandwidth for bullshit. And typically when you know, carry yourself like that, you're not going to attract that bullshit in your life. You're just not. You know, those types of people, they'll bounce off of you because they're looking for a certain type. They're looking for like a victim. They're looking for someone that they could weasel their way in on, and typically they listen for the oversharing. They listen for that oversharing. A lot of narcissistic people, right? People with high narcissistic traits, a lot of users, a lot of toxic people, they know what to listen for. They're going to ask you some questions and they're going to listen. They're going to listen for childhood trauma. They're going to listen for past exes that did you wrong. Oh, she was cheated on before. Let's see how she dealt with that. Did she cut him off and was like, I don't take disrespect, so I divorced them? Or was she like, well, you know, it was really traumatic. It was up and down, and I would give him chances, and then one day we just ended it. It was just terrible, right? Like, what are you saying? Because they're going to listen. That's why it's so important to know why you're saying what you're saying. Why are you sharing what you're sharing? It's not just sharing to share. There's intentional sharing. I'm sharing something because I want them to know this about me for a reason. Follow what I mean? Click below if this is resonating. Say, yes, I'm getting it. I'm picking up what you're putting down, Lise. Because a lot of people go on dates and they overshare. They talk about way, way too much too soon. Way too much too soon. You know? Conversations about parents. Very soon, talking about traumas from childhood, drama and trauma. Anything like that is oversharing. Steer clear of it. That'll come later. You have plenty of time. As the trust builds, then you share a little more. And you share it from a place of ownership. That's the other thing. That's the other big tip. Share from a place of ownership. So like if you were in a relationship and the person cheated on you, it's worth sharing because you can then say, so were you ever cheated on? And you're like, yeah. I mean, dude, I'm 49 years old. Of course I was cheated on. And I've cheated on people. Like, this is what life is, right? And they're like, oh, really? Like, you cheated on somebody? Like, what happened there? And I know what they're trying to figure out. Like, are you going to do that for me? To me? So I remember having this discussion with Mr. S, and I was like, oh my God, totally cheated on my husband. It was the worst thing ever. Awful. I know why I did it, and I healed why I did it. Finally, it was the worst. And that's why I know I would never do that again, right? I would never do that again. It came from a place of a lack of self-love, a lack of being able to cultivate love for myself, that I had to look outside of myself. And it was like a bottomless cup that could never be filled. And once I learned how to fill that up on my own and really be good with me and really love me, then there's no need for cheating. There's no need. Why would I invite that drama and trauma and hassle into my life? I would simply leave a relationship that I wasn't satisfied in, or that I didn't feel was nurturing me anymore. And I was like, all right, that's what I would do. And he was like, wow, so you really did learn an important lesson there. I'm like, oh my God, for sure. For sure. I learned so many lessons about, you know, relationships through the failures of my own, the successes of my own, you know, all of it. Ricardo Villalaba says, can you talk about breadcrumbing? Oh my God, the biggest colossal waste of time ever. Yes, let's talk about breadcrumbing. What a fabulous topic. Okay. So breadcrumbing is a term that, how can I say? It's like giving people little breadcrumbs. Crummy, crummy, breadcrummy. So like a man or a woman will breadcrumb. How can I explain breadcrumbing in a way that's like gonna solidify it for you guys? I feel like breadcrumbing is like, okay, this guy talks to me on Monday and he's phoning me and texting me. Yeah, see, phoning and texting me. Hey, good morning, beautiful. How are you today? Oh, great. How are you? Text. 2 hours later. Hey, girl, how you doing? Are we going out this week? Yeah, I would love to go out this week. Amazing. I'm available Thursday. Wonderful. Cool. Let's make a plan. And then later, call me up. Hey, how was your day? Ba 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 da. That's full day. And then yet, notice, never committed to the date. Never solidifying plans, nothing. Just crumbing with attention. Biggest waste of time. Oh my God. People who are starved for attention, they're like this. They're like little birds. Yum, yum. Yum, crumb. Another crumb. Crumb. Yum, yum, yum. No, me, it's understanding how to manage the frame. Manage the pacing of a relationship. I am impervious to breadcrumbing. Like, I can't even. Somebody tries that shit on me, I'll be like, hey, so you want to do a phone date? You want to like have a conversation? And then we have a conversation. I'm guaranteeing you, at the end of that conversation, plans are being made for a date. Period. Otherwise, like, I got shit to do. Again, women, men, get really busy in your life. Get super, super goal-driven, directed, purposeful in your life. When you have clear purpose for yourself, you are not dealing with the bullshit of breadcrumbing. I promise you. You're not going to have time for it. You're not going to have time for it. Some dude's going to text you and then continue to text you and text you and text you. You're going to be like, bro, either we make a date or this little pen pal arrangement is gone because I'm not into the breadcrumb thing. Commit or I'm out. Done. Like, done. And I mean, you don't have to say it so harshly. You can be gracious and ladylike and feminine about it when you say something like, you know, couple of texts, couple of calls, and then you remind them, you know, about, you know, when do I get to see you? Be fun. Get together, do something fun. Oh, let's try for Friday. Try? Yeah, let's do it. Let's do Friday. Let's do Friday. And then Friday comes and they're like, blow you off. Done. Done. You just disappear. Just nothing. And you let them call. Then you get the, hey, stranger, 2 weeks later. Correct response. I'm sorry, who is this? Oh, you forgot me already? Question mark, you write back. It's me. I'm sorry I fell off the radar. I was traveling for work. And now I crumb again. So that's breadcrumbing. Breadcrumbing is basically throwing little breadcrumbs to get attention. It like, I don't know, men do it more so than women. I don't really think women breadcrumb. Maybe they do. I don't know. Men do it. Definitely a tactic that men do. It's pathetic. And you need to be able to spot it out and pivot away from it. Better yet, vibe in a way that doesn't attract that bullshit in the first place. Super simple. Vibe in a way that does not attract that breadcrumbing bullshit in the first place. It's like beneath you. It's ridiculous. Like, I look at it this way. If I meet somebody, we're talking within 24 hours, date is planned, and we're seeing each other within 72 hours from then. Done. Why? Why not? You know, like, I'm interested in someone who's available. So are you available or are you not? You ever meet somebody and you don't get on a first date with them for like 2 weeks? No. No. Unacceptable. Because then what are you doing in those 2 weeks? Hanging on your phone for every single connection. It's psychological. It's not healthy at all. It's not healthy. So you have to maintain that frame. You got to be like, you got 3 days, bro. I meet you on a Sunday. We're on a date by Wednesday night. Period. Period. And you don't say it that way, of course, but in yourself, you vibe in a way that you're like, let's see what goes on. I met this dude on a Sunday, and he's all about, you know, what's your week like? All right, I like this guy. He's on top of it. Fantastic. What's my week like? Well, I am available this week on Wednesday night. Fantastic. How about I pick you up at 8 o'clock and we go and have a lovely, you know, some drinks and some appetizers outside at this marina restaurant that I love. Perfect. That sounds wonderful. Excellent. Great. So I will check in with you by Tuesday to confirm for Wednesday. Fantastic. That sounds great. Tuesday comes and no confirmation. You check in and you say, hey, I know what we talked about going out tomorrow. I haven't heard from you and I'm figuring out the rest of my week. Oh, yeah, we're still on. Don't make plans. I'm not canceling. Don't make plans. I want to see you. Or you hear nothing, you make other plans, and they screwed themselves. That's how you got to operate. And with love and light, honey, you don't do it with bitter. You don't do it with, like, awful energy. You do it like a breeze, like I'm here and I'm there. I'm going over there now. Oh, like, done. Just moving along. Easy breezy. Easy breezy. Nothing stressful, nothing awful. Easy breezy. So listen, crazy people, I have to go actually do a session. So I am so grateful that we had a time together. Tomorrow I will be back again. Feel free to hit me up on lovequestcoaching.com, and then definitely PM me if you have a topic that you would like for me to explore or some questions that you'd like for me to answer on a future episode of the 5 o'clock Quarantini. Thanks so much. Bye.